Hello again, everybody. Angela with Real Life Access, continuing our Mythbuster series. Because in order to educate about accessibility, we must educate about disability. And in order to do that, we got to crush these myths, guys. So the next myth I'm going to talk about is the what I call the "you're so amazing" myth. And the myth is basically, like I said, it's a step up from the incapability myth. They can no longer deny that we can do it, but they find it amazing and they're not afraid to say so. So let me give you an example of what this looks like. If you know me at all, you know I hate shopping, despise it. And luckily, with grocery delivery and Amazon, I've been able to cut most shopping out of my life, but not all. Clothes shopping is still something you have to go into the store for. You can't. I know a lot of you buy clothes online, but I don't trust that something I buy online is going to fit, and I think it's pointless to buy something that doesn't fit. So I still have to do clothes shopping, and my dear mother is the only human being on the planet that is capable of dragging me into a clothing store. Everybody else I can resist, but not her. So, see the scenario, right? Here I am, following the shopping cart so as not to lose her, staring off into space, about to die of boredom, while my mother goes aisle by aisle and item by item, oohing and eyeing over things that we're not going to buy. When somebody comes up and says to me, "You're so amazing. I don't know how you do this." And here I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. I don't know how I do it either. But they're not talking about surviving the boredom of clothes shopping. They're talking about, I don't know how you manage to what? Manage to go out in public, manage to function. I'm not exactly sure what it is that I'm doing that is so amazing. I'm following a shopping cart. I'm sleeping on my feet. I'm yawning. And yet I'm amazing. And I'm amazing because from their perspective, if they were blind, they wouldn't know how they would be able to go out in the world and function. Or they may have seen somebody, they may have met somebody with a disability that whose disability is limiting them a lot more than mine does. And when we're faced with this myth, we need to remember this. Um, as much as it sucks, but some people with disabilities are a lot more limited than others. And people have a tendency to generalize, right? They take everybody with a disability and put us all in one bucket. That's why I tell people if you met one person with a disability, you met one person with a disability. So let me get into some home truths here because, if you perpetuate this myth, if you think we're amazing for doing basic things, so at first you're not alone. You're right there with a lot of other people. And you've probably gotten certain reactions. You've probably gotten angry reactions. You've probably gotten sarcastic reactions. This is the myth that people with disabilities like to make fun of the most. Um, Entire person with disability comedy routines have been dedicated to this myth, and many of those have come from me. But let me give you a different perspective on things here, guys, because though you are new to having a disability, or you don't have a disability, maybe you have no idea how we would do things with a disability. In many cases, we've had our disability all our lives. So in the same way, you wouldn't board a plane and ask the pilot how he or she would do their job if you yourself have never flown. They have flown. They've gone through flight school. That you have to have so many hours in the air in order to get your pilot's license and be able to take passengers. So, in the same way, we have gone to, in many cases, disability school. We've had many hours dealing with our having a disability, dealing with, whatever the disability is, learning tips and tricks on how to do things as people with disabilities. You haven't had that experience. So know that you're speaking from your own perspective, which is completely different from ours. And as I say, we've learned tips and tricks that you don't know, but think of it from our perspective, right? If you're told that you're amazing for doing something that you've been doing all your life, whatever your occupation is, say I walk up to the person in that clothing store that works there, that the salesperson that helps people find stuff, and say, God, you're so amazing. I don't know how you can tell what color the clothes are. I don't know how do you know? Oh my God, it is so amazing that you can figure out what clothes look best on people. That is just I you really inspire me for being able to do that. That salesperson at the clothing store is probably going to give me the biggest eye roll on God's planet and probably going to walk away never wanting to talk to this crazy blind lady anymore. It's not a compliment, people. I know you mean it as a compliment, but it's not a compliment. So, what to do instead? Take disability out of the equation. Just forget that we have a disability. I know it's hard to do, but just join me on this academic exercise. Forget that I'm blind. Forget that that other person might be using a wheelchair. Would the thing still be amazing? If so, then hey, have at it. If not, then consider that your perspective on disability might be incomplete. So that concludes my lecture on the You're So Amazing myth. Next up, we're going to talk about the depression myth. Have an awesome day.